Listen, inflation is real. The cost of a meal at McDonald's has doubled in the last 4 years. And McDonald's serves a particular demographic that cannot afford a doubling of prices. And the consumer drives the economy.
Hi, this is John Martinka, and I'm with Nick Anderson again. Nick's the CEO of One Accord in Kirkland, Washington. And we do this every month. And just so the listeners know, we do not script this. We just talk. And we talk very intelligently, and we get across good points that, of course, if the listeners pay attention, they will benefit from. And we are going to start out today with a little recap. We did an event yesterday morning, along with Ben Wicks with Highland Wealth Management Services in Bellevue. And it was with business owners, and it went pretty well, very well. And after we decided we're going to make this a series, we'll do it a few times a year. And yesterday's topic was really about small business, AI. How do you prevent AI from taking over or hurting your business? So on that note, welcome, Nick.
Good to see you, John. I love how you said everything that we say is intelligent and useful.
That's right.
That might have been on the script.
if there was one.
That's good.
Yeah. So Nick, we had this event yesterday. We had some business owners in a room, and we talked with them, not to them, with them, and got their input on things, which was very important. Tell us your thoughts on that.
So good. To be shoulder to shoulder in conversation with a room full of entrepreneurs, like just talking through the stuff that we face every day. It's different than going to an event where there's 150 people in the room and we don't get to see them. We had great conversations with, folks in the tech space and plumbing, in services, even, a craft manufacturer, right? So a wide variety of industries represented, all facing similar problems. How do we grow revenue? How do we operate more efficiently? How do we guard against risk? And, what really is this thing AI? Like, what's the truth about it for my small business? Great conversations.
Yeah. And it was interesting how a couple of the people were using AI and getting into it. And one in particular said, I just went on ChatGPT for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's an eye opener for me, man. I just think everybody in the world must be having the same conversations that you and I do every day, but it's not that way. I think I'm super focused on my business, and it just so happens that my business is in the business of helping other businesses. So that just puts me in the center, of these conversations regularly. But for, the guy that's doing plumbing for a 600 unit apartment building, he's worried about other things.
Although he did make it clear, his top estimator is looking how AI can improve the estimating process without trusting AI to do the estimates, but streamline.
Yeah, that was the big takeaway from this conversation. It was reinforcing something that I've heard, which is this notion of human in the loop. I don't believe that right now AI is replacing humans. Maybe at some point in the future that conversation shifts, but right now, the technology that exists that we call AI just makes humans more productive, but it cannot be left on its own. Still has to be a human to observe, discern, manage some points along the process. So I think that's the current day. If we timestamp this conversation, that's where we are today for the vast majority of small businesses. And let's say that small businesses under $500 million in revenue.
Yeah. Which is still a pretty large business.
It's a large business, but in today's dollars with inflation, and I think I'm the blog that I wrote that you're hosting is kind of pointed to that conversation. I was just about to say 500 million in an inflation adjusted dollars isn't quite what it used to be. Doesn't buy as much as it used to. There are some things occurring in the economy right now where I think actually kind of putting resource into technology to become more efficient is a smart play right now, balanced with caution and a slow move. I couldn't, in good conscience, encourage any of our clients to invest in the bleeding edge of AI right now. I'm advising clients, and I'm talking internally about, let's look at boosting revenue and making operations more efficient so we can stockpile some cash. Because I'm wanting our clients to be really, really recession proof. So no crazy investments in new technology that might have a chance, but smart investments in some technology that can make things more efficient. Let's do that.
Yeah, and I think that was the point I mentioned in our session, 3 Wall Street Journal, 2 articles in one column. And it was just that, use AI to improve productivity. And if you tie that into the headlines recently, this is not a good time for companies to just say, I'm raising prices.
No. I said 2 years ago, particularly in the services sectors, raise price. Like that was my direct advice. Today, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
It's the growing revenue needs to occur in ways that do not look like big price hikes. Now, to be very clear, every firm should be increasing prices on an annual basis to keep up with inflation. Have to do it. But that might look like a 5% increase versus a 15 or 20% increase that I would have leaned into a couple of years ago. And that scares a lot of people. And I mean, frightened, scares, I just get rejected. No, I can't do that. I'll lose customers. And a year ago, I would have pushed back and said, no. Today, if the firm is not adding significant, increasing the value add, then an outsized price increase doesn't fit. Instead, we have to deliver the same level of service more efficiently. Here again, to stockpile cash. I'm getting very bearish in the economy, and I really want our clients to have a cash cushion so that they can invest in advertising and marketing right now.
Well, what you're saying is exactly what we've been talking about and talked yesterday about using AI to increase productivity, because if you want let's just say a 50% gross margin, and you can become more efficient, you don't have to raise your prices, but effectively you've raised your gross profit.
That's right.
By doing that. And this day we are recording this, the Wall Street Journal had a front page headline on how middle America is getting pinched by inflation and costs going up. And the Seattle Times had an article how Seattle is the most expensive city for the traditional Thanksgiving dinner. And
wow, I didn't know that.
Up everywhere, but Seattle takes the lead.
Well, congratulations, Seattle.
Yeah.
Free turkeys for everyone.
Yeah. And Bellevue was not listed as expensive as Seattle by a little bit.
Well, all the Seattleites can drive across the pond and buy their turkeys over here.
Yeah.
Listen, inflation is real. It's real. The cost of a meal at McDonald's has doubled in the last 4 years. And McDonald's serves a particular demographic that cannot afford a doubling of prices. And the consumer drives the economy. So there's a lot here to be cautious about. And this is, antithetical is not the right word, but I would say a lot of our clients don't believe what I'm about to say, which is this is the time to spend more in marketing. In a recessionary environment, the brands and the firms that show up more publicly will win in the long run. But in order to be able to spend more on marketing and advertising, you either have to have cash going into the recession, or you've got to have such good margins and profitability throughout that you can fund that additional investment. And that's the that's the broken record that I'm playing today.
Yeah, well, I think it makes sense because it is. We talked a little bit yesterday that it's the first thing that's cut in a lot of companies is cut the marketing.
Yep.
And whether it's paid marketing like advertising or AdWords, or it's cutting the person who does other kinds of marketing that don't cost anything. It's the thought that, well, everyone's going to keep coming in through our doors. We don't, and they believe that until the people start trickling away.
Yeah, it just won't happen. And the person who does take the risk is going to get the attention of the fewer consumers that there are, the fewer buyers that there are in the market. Their attention is going to be taken away or taken from you by those who are making more noise, who are out there more.
Yep. And now is also a good time to be coddling your customers. You need to be paying a lot of attention to people you're working with so they stay working with you, not your business, my business, the grocery store. Walmart says they are picking up business from not only the lower income segment of our population, but the higher income because they're all looking for deals. And we're not talking the uber wealthy who, this is a different world, but we're talking upper of America, upper part of the economic spectrum. There's Walmart says they're starting to come to Walmart.
They are. And of course they are. When a carton of eggs is a staple in the diet, when you've got just the grocery bills of the American household are significantly more expensive today than pre-pandemic, right? And
much higher. And even in the last year, well, the tariffs didn't help. I bought a big bag of coffee beans at Costco recently, and I'm going, what? That didn't used to be that price. Now maybe in 2 months when the tariffs on coffee are gone, I'll be going, oh, that's what I thought. Remember?
Now, what you're right about is that does not affect every household in America. It disproportionately affects the kind of the lower income demographic. Like I say this not for any other reason, but just for fact, when it comes to buying coffee or buying gasoline or buying eggs, I don't pay attention. It's just, I buy eggs because we buy eggs. I don't change my behavior in that. But there are millions of consumers that will shift their behavior. And so why did I just say that? Because if I think that everyone in the world makes decisions the way I do, I'm missing something really big, right? And so for the entrepreneur that is running a successful business, and let's say the business is throwing off $1 million in EBITDA, right? So they're compensated well, they have nice dividends, they're living a good life. Their day to day may not have the visibility into what's going on in the economy to give those signals. Instead, we have to rely on headlines, those Wall Street Journal headlines, the Financial Times, the Economist, and it's so difficult to discern through what actually is going on. If you look at your stock portfolio as a barometer for the economy, depending on where you're invested, things are either really good or they're not. Those are not the indicators that I want our clients to look at. I want us to be looking at what are delinquency rates in consumer credit cards? What are mortgage delinquencies looking like? Where is unemployment and long-term unemployment showing up, and inflation overall, to understand the consumer, the broad-based consumer. And then I want our clients to narrow in on their ideal client. Like, who is it that they serve? So for me, for us at One Accord, we serve the business owner that operates the company, generally 25 to 100 million in revenue. We do work with companies larger and smaller, but let's say they're in our sweet spot. And I just know that in a downturn, that person is going to want to cut spending on marketing. I just know it. It's like you said, first thing. And so I want to lean into that. I also know that our ideal client, generally a risk taker, and they bet on themselves. And so going into the prospect of a recessionary environment, they may be late to the party. They may not pick up on this and make the adjustments that are necessary today to get ahead of it. And the thing that you and I have talked about, offline, is the decisions that we make really point to growing revenue and making the company more efficient. So let's just say we lay out a game plan that puts more money into advertising and brings in some technology to make things more efficient, and we don't experience a recession. Great, right? Great. Okay. But let's say we don't make the moves to invest in revenue generation, and we don't make the decisions to make our operations more efficient, and then we go into this recessionary environment. Revenues fall, operational expense increases a proportion relative to revenues, and it's not great. So, I'm like ringing the bell. Okay, guys, things are never easy in business, but the last couple of years have not been not been the worst ever.
No,
right?
not by a long shot. And in your article that on recession proofing your business, that, by the way, I don't know if I'm sure it's on your website, it's on our websites now. You talk about different kinds of revenue and
Yeah.
paying attention to them, and everyone always wants recurring revenue. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always say recurring customers are just as important, even if it's not an automatic on the credit card every month.
Yeah.
So,
I work with a couple of firms that have legitimately recurring revenue. So these are either contract-based recurring revenue. So their clients sign an agreement that says, I'm going to pay you X amount per month for Y number of years, right? That's contractually recurring revenue. You can pretty well count on that. Not always going to get paid, but you can pretty well count on that. Then I've got another client that has a monthly subscription-based kind of membership model. Cancel anytime. That's not annual recurring revenue until you account for churn, and then you adjust for it's like adjusted churn in a downturn. So the type of revenue that a firm has is very important. Is it contractually obligated recurring revenues, or is it that we have to show up every month and deliver value to our clients so that they buy us again next month? Like, on some level, I don't care that the payments are set up on an automatic recurring basis. If the firm totally drops the ball and doesn't deliver value, they stop paying on their subscription.
yeah, we'll look at the two examples that are very basic examples. If you got a contract with an alarm company that does security and fire, and you have to have it, and it's, here's your rate for the next 3 years. You have 3 years. That company has 3 years of your revenue coming in every month.
That's
Now, what
right.
about gym memberships? We all know what happens to gym memberships.
Yeah.
They people sign up, they don't use them much. They get after the holidays, they flood the gym, and then they don't use them again and say, "Why am I paying for this?"
So yeah, great examples, right? The alarm company, I'm going to set it and forget it. I'm going to sign up for that thing, and I'm going to pay my $89 a month for however long. And the alarm company, their job is to like do what they say they're going to do and get ahead of the renewal 3 years later and make sure I sign up for another 3 years. The gym, on the other hand, they need to nurture me as a client, as a member of the gym every month so that I feel good about paying the membership, even if I don't go to the gym. So that's where I'm saying, organizations need to invest in that marketing. And a lot of times it's marketing to the existing customer, which you said, it's like, it's nurturing that existing customer. And so, for the gym membership, maybe I'm getting an email, or maybe there's an app, or there's something that they can build right now, a system they can build right now that keeps me engaged so that, God forbid, I lose my job, I'm hanging on to my gym membership because it's $60 a month, but it's a source of life and energy, and it gives me good vibes when I'm looking for a job, right? Or is it the gym membership that nobody's ever reached out to me? I'm not connected to them at all. I hardly go there because the lighting is bad and, whatever. Same business, same model, a different approach. And one of those two is going to preserve revenue, probably even grow revenue in a downturn.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've seen it, but there's some commercials on TV for a money app, and they say, how many subscriptions do you have? Well, I think I have 5.
Yes.
Well, you have 17, and look what they are. And we just went through this on the business side, and you think about what's all of the things, and I think there's a dozen and a half, maybe one we can get rid of, and everything from Microsoft Office to CRM to QuickBooks and all kinds of stuff. We haven't done it personally in our house, although I did talk to my wife the other day about do we really watch HBO? Should we pay $10 a month for HBO? It's not going to break the bank.
I
But
know.
look at it, and you got Apple TV and Prime, and we have Hulu and Netflix, and you can't watch it all.
It
And there's
used to
other
be that
things too.
cable was expensive as compared to streaming.
Yeah.
Now I wish I had my, 57 channels through my one bill, because I got 9 streaming accounts, and, each one is equivalent to what my cable bill used to be. I signed up for FS1 when the Mariners, had a shot at going to the series, and I should have canceled it in the 7-day window because they lost shortly thereafter. But that's a bill that I will pay 1 or 2 months until I go back and cancel it. It's not recurring revenue.
Just other stuff. You just look at your credit card bills closely and say, what's on there every month? And people are doing, and that's where your point about taking care of that recurring customer.
Have to.
Yeah.
Have to. And now more than ever. Now more than ever. Particularly, in an up market, the customer's feeling good and they're distracted by other things that they're feeling good about. In a down market, we're looking at the bills that we pay. I'm looking at my procurement list and my vendor schedule, and I'm saying who's adding value and who's not. And if they're not reaching out to us, I think about a story that Jeff, founder of One Accord, my partner, he talks about the pandemic, right, and the shutdown. And at the time, we were closely involved with almost 30 companies. How many bankers reached out to those companies proactively? And he'll say one banker reached out, and he remembers that guy's name. And I don't, because he didn't reach out to me. But, in the hardest of times, we've got to be nurturing our client relationships. Even if you don't have the answer, you got to just call and say you're there. But we're not there yet, right? So I am advising everyone that I'm talking to today, like, the probability of a downturn is higher in my mind than it's been in many years.
Not counting the COVID downturn.
Right, right. But I would say since then,
Since 2010, COVID's the only thing that's disrupted the economy at all.
right. So the probability in my mind is high. I do not have a crystal ball. I have been wrong many times in my life. And so let's just manage to the optimistic, but hedge for the downside. What does that look like? That looks like investing in advertising, investing in marketing. That looks like being discerning and judicious around expense controls and being smart about operational efficiencies. Using technology, AI, but really just using technology to be more efficient, that's smart. Investing $500,000 to build a custom app that's going to be the agent that replaces all your staff, not smart right now. Don't do that. But teaching your staff to use large language models, to look for the already built technology that can put together your proposals and your spreadsheets, that can do your estimates, that can streamline accounting. People have already built this stuff. And a wise investment for a small business is to go to an expert consultant and seek out the technology that actually works, because there's a bunch of garbage in the marketplace, and very slowly, cautiously bring in these technologies to optimize efficiencies in their firms. And this is what we do. We help people grow revenue and operate more efficiently so that bottom line looks better. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's an up economy or down economy, but when things are going really well, we can spend more in SG&A, we can spend more in overhead, and we don't feel it. Last couple of years, overhead is growing in a bunch of firms. I just guarantee it.
Oh, I know it.
Yep. So this is literally the time to take a look at those things.
And we both made the point it's not going to affect everyone. I learned a long, long time ago. There are good business. There are businesses that do well in bad economies and businesses that do bad in good economies.
Yeah.
And there are reasons. Sometimes it's just pure luck, or it's just not paying attention. When if the economy's going great and you're not. But I will tell you, from my perspective, a tough economy will drive a lot of people to both sell and buy businesses. The individual executive, the qualified person that wants their own business because they've managed people and processes and money, and they have money, it is going to say, I'm not going through this again in the corporate world. I know what they're going to do. The owner is saying, I've been through this 4 times. I don't want a 5th. And by the way, my spouse wants to live closer to our grandkids.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was told something at a time in my life when I just didn't receive it really well, but it's so true. And that is, with change comes opportunity.
Yeah.
With change comes opportunity. And a changing of the season, of the economic environment, that career executive, 52 years old, has been in the C-suite for 12 years. And they've been through COVID, and their firm is struggling right now, and they get laid off, or their firm gets sold, but they've got that cash. They want to take their future into their own hands and become an entrepreneur. So they're a buyer. They're a buyer. And the seller, like you say, been through it a couple of times. My hope is for those sellers that they've done what they need to do, what they can do in the last 18 months, 2 years, to optimize their business for sale, so that they're not selling it at a discount in a down economy. Like that is a thing, the message, if I could shout it from the mountaintops to the owners, operators, is build your business as though you were going to sell it. Build your business so well that somebody would want to buy it.
Yeah.
And then you might not want to,
Well,
but at least you have the option.
I've seen that with clients that fix a few things and, maybe not that now's not the right time. And but you're back to your point about the corporate executive. Did you ever have anything in your life that just sticks in your head and you always remember it?
Yeah, oh yeah,
So my
for sure.
first year in the buy sell world, I'm talking to a guy and it's like, well, why do you want to buy a business? And he says, I just turned 50. I know what my company does to people who have turned 50. They're going to replace me or someone half my age, a third my salary, and about 10% of my productivity.
Yeah, yeah,
That's has stuck with me for so long. And you just look at what's going on, like with Amazon and others. Well, AI, so we're going to replace 14,000 people. No, you're going to replace 14,000 people who maybe you overhired and who aren't as productive as they should be, or it's
yeah.
duplicate effort. It's not because of AI. AI
It's
is
not.
not replacing all those people.
No, I mean there certainly are efficiencies. That's the fancy way to say layoffs that come in accounting departments. That there is technology that can do with spreadsheets what people used to do with carbon copy, triplicate carbon copy paper. Right. That's for sure. We can use internally. We can use some models to help us put together our client proposals that can build our PowerPoint decks where we may have had a graphic design person that would do those things. I mean, here's a real life example. We have consultants, we have operators on our team that are really good at, walking a plant floor and hearing a knock or a whiz in a CNC machine and knowing that there's something wrong with it. That guy is not going to put together a beautiful PowerPoint presentation to then, show the board what the knock and the whiz and the CNC machine are. Two very different skills. So he might, in the past, we might have to pay someone to put together a beautiful PowerPoint presentation to show ownership, where today all of that can be automated. Now, that's not a revolutionary thing. AI didn't revolutionize our business. But if I was still paying someone to do that, well, then I'm just being foolish and wasteful with money. So this is where I say we have to make smart, small investments. And I've got the guy that I trust probably more than anyone when it comes to AI and advising businesses is Oscar Carrasquillo, and he has the Gen AI company. You should have him on your podcast. You really should. Because he's a no BS kind of guy. Somebody's like, hey, I want you to build me an agent that's going to replace 15 of my staff. And Oscar's like, yeah, but are you recording your meetings right now and getting transcripts and using just a large language model to synthesize that? And they're like, well, no, we're not doing that yet. And he's like, okay, let's go baby steps. Let's go one step at a time,
Yeah.
right? The owner of the IT company that was at our breakfast meeting this week, he said the exact same thing. The exact same thing. Like, you're not going to eat the elephant in one bite.
Yeah.
Right. So anyhow, the little baby steps towards efficiencies, I think every entrepreneur needs to be going that direction right now. And for every dollar that is saved today in SG&A, I say it differently. For every dollar that's saved in the S and G, put it into A, right? I think we can stay overhead neutral, save on the operations side, invest in marketing and advertising, and that's the prescription right now.
Yeah, what you just talked about on the PowerPoint is that stuff's crazy what you can do. And even it's fun. Some of it's fun too. I mean, the
Yeah.
other night, I have a friend. He's at Banner Banks named Raymond Barry. He's a great guy, great
Ray's
banker.
a good, I love Ray.
Yeah,
Good, good guy.
and I had a AI program, and I said, give me an illustration of a banker lending money to a polar bear. And within a minute, I got this banker handing dollars to a polar bear. I sent it to Raymond and said, just you see, it's going to be your picture as the banker lending money to the other bear.
Oh yeah, for sure. You could have just uploaded a picture, headshot of him from,
Right.
website or email and done just, you could auto, I mean, you could
Yeah.
animate it.
You can do that.
Yeah.
The PowerPoint, create a picture of, create this, create that.
Yeah. And those things are fun and they're cool. And I think honestly, uh, the gentleman that was at our breakfast that said he used Chat GPT for the first time 2 weeks ago, if he's listening today, I would say go play around with the tools that are available. Learn about this. What he could use in his business is an estimating tool. There are finance tools for auto dealerships in particular. I am a minority owner in an auto dealership, and so I have some insight into this. When parts and inventory come into the shop, when new inventory goes on the shop floor, there are so many pieces of paper, John, so many pieces of paper that come through this auto dealership. And you walk on the floor of any dealership in America, and the floor and the lobby look beautiful. They look modern, state of the art. You go around the back to the accounting department, and you might actually hear the clickety clack of a 10 key. It's mind blowing, right? So there's a technology that exists today for something like a couple $1,000 a month, where these documents can be scanned and uploaded, and the technology then scans the digital version and does all the reconciliations in seconds. So here again, that's not a revolutionary AI technology. Like, we're not seeing robots walking around replacing humans, but we're seeing the most basic organization and categorization of data that's being done by a machine. And therefore, saving one or two or three people in an FTE. But, we think about the impact of jobs on that. These are entry level jobs, and these people hated the work that they did. I mean, it wasn't fun work. Nobody likes it, right?
Yeah,
So
that
baby
basic
step.
grunt work. QuickBooks now it hooks up to your bank. You go to reconcile an account, and it's basically done.
That's right. Yeah, bank
The AI is
reconciliation. Yeah.
matching everything and saying it's done.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what I'm talking about. So here again, the entrepreneur, the operator, must devote time to learning about, or directing someone on their team to learn about. And candidly, that's how I approach this. Is I've got people on our team who I've delegated the responsibility and authority to investigate and make recommendations back on what do we want to do with technology. And then I'm often, kind of pumping the brakes on the fringe ideas. Like, no, we're not going to have a bot cold calling business owners to see if they want to hire us as a consultant. That's not going to happen. But yes, I want to look at recording all of our meetings and transcribing them and synthesizing down in the context of our strategic plan to say, this is on track and that's off track. And I want that, what we used to do in having, a secretary or an admin assistant take notes in meetings. We bring in the conversation intelligence, and It's cleaner, it's better, it's more accurate, it's more efficient, and it's a baby step. It's a baby step.
Well, when we're done with this recording, since we're doing it on Zoom, and the Zoom AI assistant is in the background, and
Yeah.
it's going to send me an email with a summary of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's right.
And, there might be a couple little errors, but for the most part, it's pretty darn good.
It's super good. We have a consultant in One Accord that is a Zoom expert. He's like a certified Zoom guy. And that's almost all he does is helping firms leverage Zoom as a technology. His one-liner is that he turns conversations into cash. The tech that exists there, all it does is record the conversation and transcribe. This is not revolutionary. Then we add in one more layer. We program it to listen for the buy signals and the clues based on our ICP and our sales playbook. And if this were a meeting with a prospective client, Zoom records it, transcribes it, and then it tells me, here are the 3 things that are the most important to John. Here were the 2 things that were buy signals. Here were his objections to overcome. And here's how you should follow up with him. Super easy lift. Now, to get there, we first had to develop our sales playbook. We had to be really clear about who our ideal client is. We have to train the system on what our offers are, what to listen for, and how to respond. So that work took some time. We help clients develop their sales playbooks. And then once you have that document, you can put it into any AI tool, whether it's Zoom or Copilot or Gemini or, pick your platform, pick your model. But now we're allowing that technology to make us more efficient. And it's those kinds of investments into growth, into marketing, advertising, that sales playbook that help us leverage technology to be, to generate more revenue, turn conversations into cash, and do so more efficiently.
Well, Nick, let's finish up here with something we seem to talk about on every podcast conversation we have, and that is in your most recent article, Recession Proof Your Business. It's number 5, and you go the risk. If you are the smartest person in a room, your business is in trouble. In other words, eliminate owner dependency. And
Yeah.
this ties in so well with this AI conversation. The owners who, I always say they're coasting. The employees have new ideas. They don't want to do it. They're making that, what you said before, that $1 million a year. And it's why would I want to take more risk? And yet the value of their business, because they think they're the smartest person in the room, we don't need that AI. We're doing just fine.
Yeah, I don't my read on if we had a room full of 1,000 entrepreneurs, my read right now is not that they would say we don't need no stinking AI. We know what we're doing. Rather, 990 out of 1,000 would say I really don't understand how to use AI in my business. And the 10 people that know aren't really equipped to tell the other 990 because it's so specific in a use case. They know how to do it in their company. So where this shows up, I just told the story. I've got 3 people on my team that I have delegated both responsibility and authority to investigate and make recommendations back to me on how we should implement AI and technology in the next season, right? Kind of our next quarterly phase. And then also to be looking at AI policy and bigger picture stuff. And as we build technology into the company, we're doing so to reduce dependency on any one individual, not just the owner, but any key person. We call it key man risk, but any key person, that's a bottleneck and a redundancy. So we're in the process, I'm taking myself out of the loop, delegating out to a group of people. That group of people is then looking at how to implement the technology in such a way that no individual becomes that bottleneck, that constraint. And this is a really, really nice opportunity to increase the enterprise value of an organization by just improving multiples. Doesn't even have to touch the bottom line.
Yeah, and I think what you and I are saying is very similar, that the owner, if that they don't know that 990 who don't really know much about AI are fearful it's going to be, down the rabbit hole, and they're going to come out not as good as they were when they went in. So
And
they
for
don't
good
know.
reason.
Change is tough.
If I would have bought only 3 out of 100 of the AI tools that I've been pitched in the last 2 years, I'd be broke because none of them work. The early entrants into the market were making huge promises, and they didn't even know what they were doing. They were selling the idea of something that didn't exist, and frankly, it still doesn't exist.
What they were really good at was selling investors on to give them money.
I mean, you read my blog article to point in that direction. I just, honest to God, John, I hope I'm wrong about my read on what's going on. I hope I'm wrong.
Now, if you are right or somewhat right, that might open more doors for you and for me in our business.
With change comes opportunity, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So, any final comments? This has been a great discussion. And again, as we said at the beginning, we don't script this, we just ramble.
Yeah. A couple of guys trading ideas that might have a story or two under our belts. The thing that I love doing, virtual conversations. I love having you here in the studio, having conversations and creating opportunities for people to, pick something up. But the roundtables that we're kicking off, our series of kind of founder, owner, operator, I'm really looking forward to that. If we get, 50, honestly, 30 down to 20 operators in a room, and we have a 2-hour conversation about what's going on in our businesses, so much comes out of it. So I'm just really looking forward to that series that we're kicking off. It's like people can pay a lot of money to be a Vistage member, and I love Vistage. I love C12 and Convene and the Tab and all these organizations. I just think that creating a space for owner operators, founders, entrepreneurs to sit shoulder to shoulder and kind of talk through some of the stuff that you don't really get to talk about at the dinner table with the family. So good for us.
Well, we'll make it happen. This has been good. And speaking of AI, Nick, as soon as I'm done with this, it's going to go off to my production company. We'll use massive amounts of AI to edit and streamline, put the exit and the entrance, and then provide all kinds of marketing materials with the pithy comments you have made during this conversation into thumbnails and pictures and for social media. And they will have it all over LinkedIn for quite a while, at least once a day, automatically.
Have I been pithy today?
As always.
I love it. Thanks, John.
Okay, Nick. All the best. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye.